How's it going, everyone? This is Daniel from the chess website, and welcome to our video on the Damiano Defence. Now, the Damiano Defence is an opening for black, albeit not a very good one, after the moves e4, e5, knight f3, and this move pawn to f6. So, the Damiano Defence was named after Portuguese chess player and author Pedro Damiano. He lived from 1480 to 1544, and even though the opening's named after him, he did deem it not a very good opening. He did suggest, rightfully so, that moves knight c6 and d6 are superior to this move f6. The thing about f6 is it has a lot of positional drawbacks. You prevent the knight from developing to its favorite square, which is f6, and also, and possibly more importantly, you weaken this diagonal, which is pointing right to the king. So as you can already maybe see, there are some tactical motives that could arise after the move f6 is played. Now, white has a number of decent options. They can just play a move like bishop c4, or even d4 is totally a tenable move. However, the most challenging reply by white is this knight sacrifice with knight takes e5. So you go knight takes e5, and the idea is quite simple. After black recaptures, you go queen h5 check, and then you begin a journey against the king. What I will note is that after this move knight takes e5, black doesn't have to capture it, but if they don't, you're simply down a pawn and have a bad position due to this f6 move. Probably the most prominent player to actually try the Damiano Defence for whatever reason was Chigorin, who was a world champion contender in the 1800s. In a game that he played the move queen e7, which attacks the knight and tries to sort of regain this pawn. But after the move knight f3, it might seem like you can regain this pawn, but once you play bishop e2 and start developing and harassing the queen, it's just not a good position for black. So black tried to move d5, but then after d3, takes, he did end up taking the pawn, and soon enough, white just got developed and castled, then started harassing the queen, and then played this nice move knight e5, which looks like it's sacrificing the knight, but if that, it's a very temporary one because of this move bishop h5, exploiting the queen's placement, and white just ended up winning a queen on move 11, and white ended up messing it up, so the game ultimately ended in a draw. But even at the top level, the Damiano Defence is never tried. And if it is, they're more likely to play a move like queen e7. I think even, like, I want to say knight e7 is like one of the main lines, and then like d5 or something like that. But again, it's just a bad position for black. Like, there's no upside to trying it. Now, here's the actual critical part that you'll want to know if you're going to be facing the Damiano Defence. If they take, in this position, you go queen h5 check. So that's the whole reason why you sacrifice with knight e5 in the first place, which is to go queen h5. So you deliver check. Black has two ways to get out of check. If black plays g6, then you can simply just take on e5, and you fork the king and the rook. So you've already sort of gotten what you wanted material-wise. Black can play queen e7 and then take on e4, but you would just go king d1. You can also go bishop e2, but then after queen g2, they're attacking the rook. It might get a little bit weird, so here, it doesn't really matter, but I would go king d1 if you remembered, and I mean, you're attacking the knight, but not only that, there are like several ways for you to attack the queen. Now, after queen h5, black will oftentimes just not want to like just give up the rook for free. Maybe they realize they mess up, and then they'll just be like, okay, I'm going to play king e7 and make you prove that your sacrifice is good. So after king e7, there's one obvious move here, which is just to take the pawn. So we go queen takes e5 check. Black only has one legal move, which is king f7. After king f7, should be pretty obvious from here. Now the king is on this open diagonal, and which piece can go to that diagonal? The bishop. So you play bishop to c4 check. Now, technically, black can survive longer, or more effectively, I guess, if they just play this move d5 and allow you to take. But we'll show the variation first if they go king g6. Because again, you just see that the queen is covering all these squares, so the king cannot just hide. The king has to go out, And then in this position, you go queen f5 check. So once again, you're sort of just making this box that the king can't get out of. Then after king h6, you just crush them with this move d4. Or you could play d3, it should be the same result. You open up the bishop to their king, and it would pretty much be checkmate. The only way for black to not be literally in checkmate, well, they can play queen g5, but you obviously just take it, no worries. In this position, black could play g5, but then after this h4 move, you're just in complete control of the game. Like, there's just about nothing that black can do to survive this attack. If they let you take, then it's just game over. Then king g7, you would go queen f7 checkmate. So we'll just say if like something random's played, then your threat is to take. So it's a double check. They only have one square, which is king g7. And then you get checkmate. So you can see the pawn covers some key squares, the queen is protected by the bishop, and it all works out in your favor. If they try to escape in the first place with king g7, then you can just go queen f7 check, you're protected by the bishop, king hides on h6, and then you can play pawn takes g5 checkmate. It's opened up by the rook, pawn's protected, and the queen is covering a lot of key squares as well. So black could prolong it by playing this move after bishop c4 check. They could play d5, and the idea is that after bishop takes d5, now they can play king g6, and you no longer have queen f5 check because of the bishop. However, it's still pretty bad. I believe the top move here is h4, and then your plan is to just go like h5 and drive the king just into checkmate. And then if they play h6, you can actually play this move bishop takes b7 check. So the idea is that you would get queen to f5 checkmate. Again, you don't have to remember all of that, but that's just an option that you can try. So yeah, that's the Damiano defense. The Damiano defense occurs after black plays this move f6, which I think almost every decent chess player would consider a mistake. So if you're playing chess and you see these moves e4, e5, you play the knight, and then they play this move f6, then you should just know instantly to just sacrifice on e5, and then go check, and everything works out for you. So that is the Damiano defense. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you for the next one. Take care.